The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at gruns.co. That's code podcast at gruns.co.
Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. This week, we have a really cool guest, Maha Abouelenein. She just wrote a book called 7 Rules of Self Reliance, but that is just scratching the surface of what she has done. 30 years of global communications experience. And of course, she's a huge Minnesota sports fan. So we have a lot to break down coming up.
I have one rule of self-reliance when it comes to this show, and that's I let Dawn do everything.
No, that's smart.
Yeah,
See?
one rule. It's the only rule I need. This is Dawn of Sports. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. We want to thank our sponsors, Rudy Luther Toyota, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and Natrium. We'll tell you more about them later. Our producer today is Alex Haugen. Best way to listen to this show or any show you like at TalkNorth.com. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free and it's easy. Remember, we have the best sports lineup in town. Don Mitchell, Randy Shaver, Michael Russo, Anthony LaPanta, Lavelle Neal, Royce Smalley, Mike Grimm, John Millay, Jeff Diamond, John Krasinski. There's more. I'll leave you with that right now, plus outdoor content and variety content. We continue to grow the network, and we appreciate everyone listening and everyone's supports. Back to Don.
You know what I really love before Maha joins the conversation, Jim, is to see how many grumpy sports people, and I'm talking about media, have all of a sudden hopped on the Vikings bandwagon. What do you think?
Well, I'm a grumpy media person, and I jumped on the bandwagon.
I was looking at you, but you're not the only one I was talking about.
Yeah, listen. I think anybody who thought this team would be 11-2 and that Sam Darnold was going to, at this point in the season, be playing 85 times better than Kirk Cousins, where Kirk Cousins deserves to be benched and Sam Darnold is in the running for MVP. Anybody who says they saw any of this coming is lying to you. Anybody who thought this was a realistic possibility was fooling themselves. But here we are. And my thing is, and that preseason analysis picks, all that stuff, it's all nonsense. We just do it because people ask us to. Once you get into a season like this, whether it's this or 98 or 2009 or 2017, you should just enjoy the hell out of it. This is a blast.
It is a blast. I will say the one thing. I did not see the 11-2 coming, but I thought I would see the offensive explosion that we saw this Sunday. I thought we would see that a lot earlier. I guess my surprise would be like, wow, like the defense, I'm more shocked. It's kind of flip-flopped in my brain. Like with all the new guys coming on defense, yes, I knew they'd be good, but they had their issues last year. The fact that they all gel together and they're playing and they're just having fun. I thought, if anything, the offense would be like, bang, it would be JJ. Bang, it would be, Jordan or TJ when he got back. I didn't foresee the hiccups in the offense this year, but to see it this Sunday was awesome.
I thought that Sam Darnold would have good games and good stretches, but he wouldn't be able to sustain it. I think the most impressive thing about this season, and O'Connell talked about it after the game on Sunday, is they have a really embarrassing offensive performance in Jacksonville. Sam looked lost, threw terrible interceptions, made terrible decisions. And O'Connell said, and this is somewhat of this coach speak, but I'm going to go with it because I trust O'Connell. He said that was the perfect game for that point of the season because you win the game and you get to go to Sam and say, this is why this interception happened. This is what you didn't see on this play. And coachable moments is kind of a cliche. In this case, the cliche comes to life. They got him back on track, and he has played brilliantly since that moment.
Also, for the early part of the year, they were winning, but Justin wasn't really still lighting it up, right? And Justin was saying, when he did, I want Sam to trust me on that. Like if I'm double teamed or even triple teamed, like just throw it and I'll bring it down. I think in that game where all those 3 interceptions that were all to Justin, I think he was trying to force it. And even that next week, Jet said, I said I was the option if it's there and I'm covered. So Sam said what he's really learned is that balance between whether to go for it or whether it's too risky. And so in my mind, it's also like, yes, he wanted to trust Justin, but he also has to be smart about it for himself. Right? That's that razor thin line.
And there's a great example in the NFL this year. There's the difference between being a good passing team and being a winning team.
Yeah.
Because complementary football is everything to winning teams. Situational play is everything to winning teams. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are having one of the greatest quarterback wide receivers in NFL history. And they ain't going to sniff the playoffs.
It's so fun to watch, but you are absolutely right.
And if Sam came in and thought, all I need to do this year is just get the ball to Justin and everything will be fine, he'd have more interceptions. They would have more turnovers. Justin would be more frustrated. They wouldn't be winning games. The whole thing could have blown up. So the great thing about this Vikings offense is balance. And I thought, listen, Addison and Jefferson and Darnold were the stars of the game on Sunday, but I thought the fact that they were able to run the ball effectively early with Aaron Jones got that all started in the right direction, and the fact they were able to run it effectively with Cam Akers,
and Ty Chandler even got in there once and had a good run. I was like,
you don't have to win games with your running game, but you need to be able to run the ball when you want to, and they were able to do that. And I thought the early running success really put the Falcons in a terrible situation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What I also liked too was, I don't know, just because I wanted him to, because Aaron Jones really took kind of a verbal beating from his mama. The fact that I just love that he shares that with us. He's just such a wonderful human being, and if you guys don't know the story, his mom came down pretty hard on him for his fumbles in the game before. He said that used to be the role that his dad played in his life, and his dad has passed. So his mom used to be come here, let me get you a hot chocolate. Now she's like, you deserve to be benched. I would have benched you a little sooner. And then he said, I know, I learned my lesson. She goes, you didn't learn it last week? Like she was on him. So to see him kind of get in the end zone the following week after sharing that story, that was awesome.
Yeah. I wrote about it the other week. He's not the best running back in Vikings history. You can't pretend he is, but he's probably my favorite back. Combination of personality, charisma, kindness, intelligence football intelligence, football savvy, versatility. He's as much. I've enjoyed watching him more than any other back I've ever covered here.
And you know what I really like on a personal level? If you sometimes you're in the locker room and they know that you're not interviewing them, right? You're just having a little quick conversation. He'll stop, look you in the eye, and have a conversation with you. He won't be like in passing and not look at you, that kind of thing. Like he's real. So I really appreciate that as a person.
And I've covered some very good Viking teams that were not much fun to be around. This team is fun to be around. Metellus is a great guy. Grenard seems like a great guy. Van Ginkel, Hawkinson.
Cambezy.
I mean, I could list.
Are you going to flip like they did?
Can
we have a celebration dance? Can like we practice and
you and I
like the white chicks dance? Yeah, should I be flipping
I will,
you?
That's
or
another thing I will leave to you. 7 rules of me not dancing for anybody will remain in place.
We'll work on a handshake.
Yes. I don't even know if I can handle a hand. I'm not coordinated enough for the handshake, but I'll practice.
And we have to give a shout out to Byron Murphy, his 6th interception. And one of the things was we were talking about the ball tracking of the wide receivers, but he I guess he used to be a former wide receiver in high school, or at least he was one of them, that, the ball tracking he has this year. And now that he's healthy, it's really fun to watch him kind of pluck these passes out of the air. Like they were meant for him and not for the opposing wideout.
I'm really looking forward to the conversation with Maha. She's also a big Vikings fan. We'll talk some sports. We'll talk about her book, The 7 Rules of Self Reliance, and her fascinating career. Let's go ahead and clear the business of the business out of the way so we can just have a long talk with Maha. So let's go ahead and, again, remind you, we're coming from the Aquarius Home Services Studios, and we want to thank longtime supporter of this podcast network and longtime supporter of women's sports in Minnesota, Rudy Luther Toyota.
Ready for a women-forward car dealership? Rudy Luther Toyota empowers their many women on staff in sales, management, and service. Whether you are looking for a new Toyota or pre-owned vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota has something for everyone. Every vehicle comes with a Luther Advantage. 10 cents off fuel and car wash discounts at holiday stations, Luther Advantage warranty, and 5-day return policy on pre-owned vehicles. Located just 5 minutes west of downtown Minneapolis, off 394 and General Mills Boulevard. And they're also hiring. Want to join the team but don't know where to start? Visit rudyluthertoyota.com today.
Thanks to another local company that does great work, and I keep hearing great things about, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. I am happy that Minnesota Masonic Charities has chosen Minnesota Bound and this podcast as a place to help spread the word. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
And now the spot that gets Dawn all fired up.
It's so cute.
So I've been taking the Carpe Diem gummies to help me sleep. My wife has started taking the Goodnight Moon gummies. So there are 2 varieties of that. There's the dark blue package that will just knock you out, which I probably recommend on weekends if you can sleep in. Then there's a lesser dose that just helps you ease into sleep, and really you don't really notice as much. That's what I love about Natrium is you go there and you can find different ingredients, different active ingredients, different dosages, different forms for everything from candy to dips to drinks. The variety is so great. You really need to go to the store to check it out because you need an expert to guide you through the first couple times. Once you know what you like, you can order online or you can go in there and just grab what you like. First time, go to a Wildflower or a Natrium store. Have them guide you. Tell them what you need. They will be able to narrow it down for you. They'll be able to work with your preferences. And I mean, if my results are any indication, if my wife's results are an indication, you're going to love what you get. So Natrium, Natrium.com, Natrium and Wildflower stores.
Okay, well, I'm so excited right now. As promised, Maha Abouelenein is here to speak with us about her book and more. First of all, it's called The 7 Rules of Self Reliance. But Maha, before we get into your book, I just want to say, I know of you through Tracy Perlman.
Yes, love
just,
Tracy.
A fellow friend of ours. But when she said your treatment of this book was coming out, and she had notes this past summer, I was already all in. I was all in.
Yeah. It's so rewarding to see people reading the book, tabbing it with their Post-it notes, underlining it, posting about it. I met a gentleman. I was flying from Miami to Chicago, and I got out of my seat. And when you get off the plane and everyone just starts putting their stuff away, their laptops and stuff in their bags, and the gentleman in front of me put my book in his bag, and he was reading it on the plane. I didn't know that, and I was like, "Wait a minute!" I'm like, "What is that book?" And he took it down. He's like, "I just picked it up," and we had a 4-hour flight. He read it on the half of it on the flight, and he's like. I'm like, I wrote that book, and he had showed me all the things he had underlined and read and the notes, and I posted. I was like such a surreal moment, but I'm really proud of it. Yeah, I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud to tell stories, mostly from Minnesota. If you read the book, you'll dig in. You'll know how proud I am to be from Mankato, and my childhood shaped me. And the other day, I got featured on the front page of the Free Press in Mankato, and I was like freaking out. And I'm like, this is so cool.
Yeah, and you've been all over the place. I'll give you your background, 30 years of global communication experience, but you, first of all, are a CEO of your own business called Digital and Savvy, which is strategic communications, but more so when I look at the other companies you've been with, the Google, Weber Stanwyck, General Mills.
Yes, I worked at General Mills here in the Twin Cities for several years, working on sports marketing for them.
Unbelievable. And then you were in Europe. So, I mean, you're very worldly, big companies, and then you decide, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I think your sister?
My sister still works at General Mills, actually. Yeah, she still works there. I did a lot of sports marketing. So when General Mills decided to enter the Olympics for the first time, they did a licensing deal in 1996 for the Atlanta Olympics. And that's when they did Team Cheerios and Team Betty Crocker and came up with all these products. I got to work on that, and I got to go to the Olympics, which was incredible. Worked on a bunch of football-related things, sports, tennis-related things. So yeah, I mean, General Mills is hometown flagship brands, and really proud to be a part of that organization. I won 2 chairman's awards for some of the work that I did there. So it was a great breeding ground for me to learn about, consumer packaged goods companies, Fortune 500 companies. Great that it's in our own backyard, and took the experience I got from General Mills, and I moved overseas. I lived in Egypt and in Dubai for about 23 years before moving back to Minnesota during the pandemic in 2020.
I want to dive in to a little bit of that, because now I have moved from my hometown to many different cities, but in the United States.
Yes.
To up and move, and I know that you have family there, or and even just background, but to just move and create a whole new life there is unbelievable.
Yeah, it was hard. Like I was born and raised in Mankato. I lived in Mankato my whole life. My parents are both 100% Egyptian, but I lived here, and I knew I was Egyptian, but I was from here, and I went to school here. I had friends here. And then at 27 years old, my parents said, we're moving back to Egypt. And I'm like, what? They were like, we're moving back to Egypt. And my mom was sick. She had multiple sclerosis, and I was taking care of her. And at 27 years old, I up and moved to Egypt. My sister, who is married and, settled here at General Mills, she stayed in Minnesota. I moved with my parents, mostly because I was taking care of my mom, and it was personal reasons. And I get to Egypt at 27. I don't speak the language. I don't have any friends. I don't have a network. I don't know anybody except for my cousins. And I got to find a career. I got to find a job. I'm still got to figure out how I'm going to take care of my mother. I got thrown into the deep end of the pool, as they say, and figured out how to rely on myself. One of the premises of the book, to figure out what strength do you have to get yourself out of situations of how do I find myself? How do I make friends? How do I integrate? When I moved to Egypt, everyone's like, you look Egyptian, your name is Egyptian, but you are so American. You sound American. You're not from us. You don't dress like us. You don't look like us. You're not Egyptian. And so I was like, no. My blood is Egyptian. I'm 100%. Both of my parents are Egyptian. I'm born in the U.S., but I'm 100% Egyptian. So it was kind of that of oh, your English is so good. Where'd you go to school? Or you have an accent. You're not from us. So I kind of had to overcome that. How did I show them that I was, want to integrate and I wanted to fit in. I didn't want to stand out. And I tried to find a job, couldn't find a job. I looked for a job at Pepsi or Coca-Cola, a U.S. type of company that I could work at because I felt comfortable in that environment in General Mills. I get to Egypt and I get offered to be a secretary for a billionaire. And I was like, oh, that's really not what I came here to do. To be a secretary is a great role, but not for me. I have a master's degree. I have experience working Fortune 500 companies. I really want to do something in marketing or PR. I really want to a real job where I can grow a career. And I couldn't find a job. And my dad basically had insight that I didn't. And he said, you just moved here. You don't know anybody. He's the most powerful person in the region. If I were you, I'd put your head down and do whatever he asks you to do and learn how to network, learn how to build relationships, learn how the business community here operates. It's actually a perfect starting job for you because you don't know anybody, and anyone who wants to get to him has to go through you.
It's also a slice of humble pie. You're saying, this is not what I came here to do. And I know your first rule is also stay low, keep moving.
Yeah.
And low is not to lower yourself, right?
But it's put your head down.
Yeah, put your head down.
It's put your head down, put in the hard work, get over yourself. Don't think you're overqualified for something. Be humble, put in the hard work, let your hard work speak for itself. Take this job, turn it into what you can do. and then create value for him. If you can create value for him and show him what you're capable of doing, maybe he can give you a different role, but you got to start at the bottom. So the first rule of the book is stay low, keep moving, which is, put your head down, put in the hard work.
Mm-hmm.
The second rule is be a value creator. What can you do to create value for other people to show them how good you are, what you're capable of doing? And that's what I did. I started out as an office manager, his assistant. And by the end of the 4 years of me working with him, we became business partners. And I just put my head down. I learned about the business. I studied every piece of paper going into his office, coming out of it. I built the best relationships with everyone. I wanted everyone to say, Maha's a pleasure to work with. I was like, I'm going to take this role and make it what it can be and learn and be a student. And that's another rule of the book is to invest in yourself and learn, and nothing is beneath you. Everything you're capable of doing, you can do at any role, at any job, just takes time and patience. And so I grew from there. After working with him, we started a communications firm together. Then I built my own communications firm. Then I went on to run communications and public policy at Google, launched Netflix in the Middle East, served them for 5 years, to work for the ruler of Dubai, had been living my life in the Middle East, actually, unbeknownst to me that I would spend my whole career there. And then in 2020, I saw a post on social media in Dubai that they were going to close the airport. And every summer I come home to Minnesota, June 1st, September 1st. I come home for the summer. I never miss a summer. I never miss my family. I come home, my sister and her kids and her husband are here. And it was March of 2020. And I usually come home in June. And I thought, I don't know. There's something going on. There's something about coronavirus is on television. It's really big over here. I feel like it's a problem. My sister who lives here is like, they're never going to close the airport. They're never going to restrict travel. That never happens. I'm like, yeah, but people in Asia are wearing masks. And she's like, but that's a common thing over there for them to wear masks. And I said, I don't know. It seems like it's getting out of control. And then Trump announced that we were going to have restrictions. Americans had to come home, and airlines started to their websites crashed. It was a disaster. I'm like, I got to get out of here. So after living overseas for 23 years, in 24 hours, I decided to move home to Minnesota after being gone for almost a quarter of a century.
You packed up your life in 24 hours.
I was just in turbo mode. I'm like, I got to get out because they told me the airport's going to close on Tuesday and it was Sunday. So if I didn't leave by Monday, I would not get out. And so I went literally to the mall. They have this store called sellanycar.com. It's like a kiosk, and they do an auction to sell your car. I literally went to the mall and I'm like, will you buy I had a Mercedes 4x4 at the time. And I'm like, will you take my car and auction it and sell it?
Stop.
I mean, I literally I tell a crazy story in the book about what I did. But anyways, so I moved home to Minnesota in 2020, March 16th, 2020, the day the world shut down. I live with my sister in the basement of her house in Lake Minnetonka because I don't have a home. I'm still figuring out what I'm going to do. I had purchased a condo, but it hadn't closed yet. And so I moved home, and I basically 50 years old decided, I guess I'm starting over again. No friends, no relationships, no business. I've been living overseas forever. And it's hard to make friends when you're 50 or build a whole new network when you're 50. And I did it. And I've been for 4 years now. My office, I have a company. I've been running businesses and communications for some big companies here in the US and built my relationships. And I think the one thing, for anyone listening is you can reinvent yourself at any age. I did it twice. And I feel like it's something that if you can rely on yourself to build the right relationships, build a good reputation, know how to create value for people, you're capable of doing anything.
One of the rules that that resonated to me, first of all, I heard you speak at the Minneapolis Club, and I saw the treatment, like I said, with Tracy beforehand, but when I actually saw the 7 rules and to add value, it's one of those things that you actually don't really think of.
Yeah.
And then the other one was don't be a waiter. And I was like, wow, because so many times you just wait for the right opportunity.
Wait for the ducks to be in a row.
Yes.
You wait for the right timing. There's never going to be a good time. It's like you wait till you lose weight. You wait until you have more money in your bank account. You wait until the timing will intervene. That never happens.
I would have waited. If I were leaving, I probably said, well, I'm going to take a couple of things and go back to the United States because I'll probably go back. You sold your car, you got everything.
I packed up my house. I sold my car. Wait. I gave away all my stuff that I couldn't take back to my friends. I could have waited to see how this lockdown thing would have shook out.
Yeah.
Or I could have tried to create a new page and a new life for myself. And I did that. And
Yes.
I am not a risk taker. I am not the kind of person, like, I reluctantly moved from Egypt to Dubai. Like, I really didn't really want to move to Dubai. And, I was like, oh, my parents, both my mom had MS. My dad got ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and he died. So my parents died within a little over a year from each other. And I buried them
So
in Egypt.
sorry.
And I didn't want to leave Egypt because my parents were buried there. And it was a very emotional attachment that I had with Egypt now. And then when I moved, I reluctantly did move to Dubai just because the security situation in Egypt got bad with what's going on with all the political turmoil. So I moved to Dubai reluctantly. Then I found I loved it. It's like being in the US, but close to Egypt, and everyone speaks English, and you have all your stores, and it feels very American. Like there's a Crate and Barrel and a Caribou Coffee down the street. Like I felt like I was in Minnesota.
Skyscrapers.
Yeah. Like it just feels like home. Like you can, buy the things you want at the grocery store that you want. And, there's familiar faces and names around me. So I felt comfortable living there. So for me to just decide to leave my name and my network and my relationships that I spent a quarter of a century building, I was like, is this the stupidest move I've ever made of just giving this up? Because I have a lot of equity I spent building all these relationships in 23 years. And I'm just going to walk away from that. But I just got to do it because I'm always going to wonder what would happen if I moved back to the States. And now I don't wonder, because now I came back, I built a new company. I still go to the region. If you follow me on social media, you'll see I travel quite a bit.
A lot.
Yeah. Actually, we
I'm
counted.
actually
I told my
jealous.
team.
I do follow you. I'm like, what? Where's she now?
So I go to Dubai a lot. I go to Saudi. I go to Egypt quite a bit. But I feel like there's equity that I built there in relationships. And I feel like if you spend a lifetime building relationships with people, that's the most valuable thing you can do.
Yes.
Because if you build relationships, you can create opportunities for yourself and for others. Relationships are the key to life. I think we learned a lot during the pandemic how hard it is to operate if you don't meet people and see people and talk to people, and connecting always matters. And, no matter what happens with AI, you always want that human connection and that human storytelling, and building a relationship with someone matters. And I do talk a lot in the book about how to do that, because I think when you're on a remote working environment, or if you're working with somebody and you're on Zoom, how do you network with them? Or if we forgot how to work a room and talk to people because we're so used to remote environments, just getting you back on the field of how do you network? How do you build a relationship? What do you do to build a relationship that's intentional and meaningful, and something that you're not just using it to get a transaction or get tickets to a game or a job for your son, or, it's a science. It's really something you need to learn how to master.
Well, you talked about kind of name equity, and that goes into the reputation is your currency and that's all you have. But it also means so much. People think so much about equity in their house and sweat equity in their work. But equity, probably for me, the reason why I think you're so successful is you carry that with you, no matter where you go.
Yeah, I think it matters. So we live in a world, think about cancel culture and what's happening in the world today. Look at what's happening to Jay-Z. His name is out there in a story that he doesn't want to be a part of, right? And it's hard for us to unsee that story now and to unhear it, even though he might detach himself or be completely innocent. Yeah, completely innocent. But it's his reputation's at stake, right? And all of us have a reputation. Everyone thinks I have one, I can't do anything about it. You certainly can do something about it. You certainly can manage it. And you'll hear the term personal brand, personal brand, personal brand. And a lot of people think, Maha, I'm not a social media influencer. I'm not a personal brand. I don't care about that. But I want you to think about context of reputation. What is your reputation? What's its worth? What are you doing to build it and to protect it? If you have a strong personal brand or a strong reputation, that's going to help you open doors in your community, for your neighbors, for your family, for your friends, for your business, for your side hustle, for your career. You need to have a strong personal brand if you go to work. Are you a team player? Are you a listener? Are you resourceful? Are you cooperative? Are you ambitious? Those are all related to your reputation. And you want to have a good reputation at work because you want opportunities to grow, and you want your manager to like you, and you want your team to value you, and you want to feel appreciated. All of that goes into building your reputation. All of that goes into how you treat other people. We no longer look to hire people based on their CVs and their work experience. Are they kind? Are they empathetic? Are they, a good human? Are they going to disrupt my culture and make, people
Right.
difficult to work with? Like, we care about stuff like that now. And we never used to think about, we used to just hire based on what were their skills or what were their experiences? Where did they work before? It used to be where you went to school determined who you were going to be in this world.
Yep.
And where you went to school determined who you were going to become.
And it didn't matter how you treated other people. Oh, look at where they went.
She went
look
to
at this
school.
pedigree.
So,
look
yeah,
at that. Right.
exactly. And now we value other things. We've changed. And I think it's important to look at, people's careers aren't linear and people's paths aren't linear. And we need to value people that come from different backgrounds and different insights. And so I think reputation plays a lot into that. Like, how good are you at showing up in the world, not online, but in real life?
Let me ask you this as a woman, because, and just with sports, I mean, just in the history of it, there's guys that have a great reputation, but then they hit a scandal and they can come out unscathed and get another top-notch job like that. And I always say, if that happened to a woman, even if she had a great reputation, sometimes they can't recover. How does a woman... And I'm saying if something is wrong, let's not say they go and do something horrible. How does a woman recover? Do you find that that's even more so reputation-wise for a woman to do it?
I mean, when you said that sports story, I could think of so many athletes.
Yes.
I was like looking like, okay, I have a quarterback in mind. Okay, we won't go there. I will say
You
that...
are a Vikings fan.
No, it has nothing to do with the Vikings. It has to do with another team. Here's the thing. It's becoming normalized for women to start using their voices and to take the stage and not to be sitting behind the scenes. And I feel like they're getting more comfortable doing it. And so the more women step up to own their power, use their voices, I think it's better for everybody. But I do feel that, they might get hit differently than men, because I think men have a way of pushing forward and moving on through it, not unscathed. We're more emotional. We're more empathetic. I just saw something yesterday about women are better leaders than men in their performance of the bottom line on companies, because they're just better at people and empathetic listeners and leaders. And so I feel like the styles are definitely different. I think that's something that's a very obvious thing that's happening in the market that needs to change. But I feel like, they don't come out as unscathed as the men do. But I feel like the reverse of that is to take confidence and take action, use your voice, really play a role, because you deserve it and you should be at that table and you should say the things you want to say. And if you feel like you've been hit by a scandal or targeted for something, find a way to go back, regroup, and come back even stronger.
Like Martha Stewart.
I mean, a documentary is
Right?
incredible. Have you seen it?
No.
It's
Is
so
it good?
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, I mean, Martha Stewart is a great example of somebody who had this powerful brand. I mean, you have to watch the documentary. Like,
Okay.
I didn't know a lot of the stories about her, and I grew up in the 80s, and she made domestic decorating and cooking cool, and she was really of a generation. There's nobody been like her, and I feel like she was the original influencer.
Yeah.
Influencing how people did everything from decorate their trees to bake cookies to Thanksgiving turkeys to all the stuff she used to do. But yeah, she had a scandal. She got caught in a stock situation and came out of it. And she's hanging out with Snoop Dogg, and she's cool.
And they're like best friends.
Yeah, they're best friends.
But you can also see her influence on him, not to go down the Snoop Dogg rabbit hole, which I would love to do because I adore him. But the fact that he has branched out and all right, I've got the kids thing and I've got this thing. And,
completely.
he's all over the place.
I don't know if this was a hoax, but Snoop. So today, Time announced the Athlete of the Year, Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Then they announced the CEO of the year. And then Snoop did a post about Time, that he was Time Magazine's Man of the Year. He did like a cover, but it wasn't revealed. Like, it was his shadow. And then he revealed the photo. I'm like, that's fake, right?
It's got to be.
I don't know. He should be. He was everywhere this year.
Why not?
Why
Yeah.
not be, right? Jim, you should be Man of the Year.
Oh, God, stop it.
You'd hang out I want to see you and Snoop Dogg hang out.
I mean, I'd love to. I don't know what he'd get out of it. I'd love to, but, why would he want to hang out with me?
Well, because you're fun.
Yeah,
I am?
You're
Yeah.
fun.
Nobody told me.
You got
You're
cool
fun.
stories of what happened in Mankato during the Vikings training camp.
I have a lot of stories, and many of them I can't ever repeat to anybody.
Yeah, that's
Somebody would
the one
shoot me.
thing, right? A lot of it behind
I
the
will
scenes.
say we were telling Viking training camp stories before, And one thing I didn't tell you, I was also in the bar in Albatross when Keith Millard drove his car into the stanchion at Hardee's because he wanted to get a burger on his way home, and he smashed his car, jumped out of his car, sprinted back to Gage Hall.
Oh, wow.
And left his car sitting there.
Just
Wow.
left it there.
Just left it there.
Yeah, so I grew up in Mankato for everyone listening. And so we were talking about how the Vikings used to host training camp in Mankato, and it used to the town went undone. Like it was like the it city to be in for the summer. The players were always at the bars and the restaurants hanging out. So it was such a great memory for me every summer seeing Mankato become famous for having the Vikings come to town. All the reporters used to come into town from around the country. So it was fun.
Oh, yeah. And we'd wait to see how they showed up. Remember, like arriving to Gage
that was
Hall
a big
Day?
deal. Who carried what into their dorm room?
Jared Allen with his like pink convertible with the horns on it, and what they're bringing, right? Like pillows and big screen TVs and then sleep chambers. I mean, it was just the pageantry of it all. I have to admit, even though it's far easier than to drive, because we didn't stay in Mankato, we drive back and forth every day. Yeah. Far easier just to go to Egan.
Which is such a nice facility.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
But it's not the same thing as
so
being
different.
embedded with the team for 6 weeks.
Yeah, in a dorm room.
I mean, I would walk down. I mean, it's like if I wanted to talk to Chris Carter, I'd just sit in the lobby and wait for Chris Carter to walk by. You know, it's much nice. I mean, I covered the Vikings when they made the playoffs, they would have to inflate a 40-yard golf bubble. You know, in
over
Prairie,
the field. Yes,
over
I
the
do
field,
remember
so
that,
they could
to keep it
practice
warm.
indoors, and they couldn't punt or throw long passes in it. They prepared for NFC Championship games where they couldn't practice long passes, and now they have the greatest facility in the history of sports. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. And by the way, last weekend, Greg Olson was like, this facility, like US Bank Stadium is literally, I think it was voted by the NFL as the top stadium, but it's such a great facility.
I've been to them all. It's the best.
I
mean,
agree.
there are other great
SoFi
atmospheres.
is pretty cool. SoFi is pretty cool, but it's too big.
SoFi's cool, but it's
still intimate.
Sprawling.
Yeah, it's too
and
big.
It's got two teams in it, so it doesn't feel.
Oh,
like
you're talking
anybody's-
SoFi?
Yeah.
Oh,
and even at MetLife, they share two teams too, like the Jets and the
MetLife's
Giants.
a dump.
Yeah.
MetLife, the Mafia got all the money for that deal.
I like
because
Seattle's.
That is a dump.
Seattle's is nice too.
Seattle's is great, and Lywicki had a big hand in putting that together. You know, one of the guys who helped found the Minnesota Wild. Brilliant job of funneling, having an outdoor stadium that holds in the noise.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
It's a great place.
I've never been, but I've seen it on too. But I went to the Super Bowl at Sci-Fi. It was just fun to see a Super Bowl show there because of all the screens and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Taylor Swift did a show there. I'm like, that would be fun to see a concert just because the screens help. But it's too big.
It
It's
is.
way
Yeah.
too big.
And it's not, and it doesn't have an idea. Like
Identity.
If you see the coolest thing about a football stadium is or any venue is when you see the TV shot and you know exactly where it is.
You know where it is. And I just love it that it's beautiful, but it's also intimate. Like you feel like
You're in a bowl. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and that the players and the fans relationship is there. And we saw that on Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, where JJ turns around and he looks at the screen. Like there's an intimate relationship between the fans that are actually in that building and there, but yet the sightlines are beautiful. The whole design
No, the
is
hospitality is
beautiful.
great. Even the concourse. I mean, it's just beautiful. I spent a lot of time in that arena.
And I
Think
sound like a
about-
homer, but I'm not from here.
Well,
So I'm
think
down
about
with
how
it.
far they've come. I mean, the Metro was like a great place to work. It was for us, it was fantastic. A flight of stairs down to the locker rooms, to the field, whatever.
Mhm.
But my God, and the game production,
Oh, it's a
game
show.
production, it used to be like, okay, if they could get the dog on the field to catch the Frisbee, that was the highlight of the season.
Right.
Now we have flames shooting. Your eyebrows get seared
Yeah.
by the flames before it's a spectacle.
Yeah, I like it.
It is the best in the league. And what I really love still is players that come in for the first time have their phones out and they're taking video. They're walking through. And people that don't stay there or know this longer, so the players walk from the buses and they have to walk through the field. They don't walk around. They could walk around the bowl like you see, you know, people get their model shots and then they're walking the innards, you know, like the NBA. Here, they
walk the field.
They walk the field, and then they got to walk back at the end, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of like a perp walk if they lose, So, and all the fans at the Delta 360 that are allowed to stay a little bit later are like, catcalling to them or, but it's funny. It's never a mean thing, but it is like, come on.
They kind of
here.
booed Kirk. They shouldn't have done that.
I knew they were going. It's such a competitive game. They wanted to be.
I kind of felt bad though.
Their 11th win, so you knew that was going to happen. But to walk through past them after,
I can't dredge up enough emotion about Kirk, positive or negative.
Really,
I know. I just feel like it's not Minnesota nice to boo somebody. Like it doesn't matter. Yeah. Anyways,
I do like that about you. To hear that, I just expected it, but I'm from Boston. I'm like, of course they're going to boo him.
Yeah.
I hope there's some smattering of applause, but not that they don't like him. There is that contingent that.
Speaking of Boston,
good.
I did go to game 1 of the NBA Finals last year.
Yeah?
in the Garden.
Yes,
that's an experience.
It is indeed.
That's
isn't
an
it?
experience. Like there's certain arenas in the world that you need, like Madison Square Garden. You got to go once. You got to see be in the Garden. It's a really cool. It was fun. They were playing the Dallas Mavericks, so.
And the old Garden was a trip. There were a couple of rats that would go over your feet and stuff like that. It was even more enclosed. If you think,
Rats used to be a big part of the sports world.
Yes.
When you were in our job and you walked around behind the scenes.
That's why I didn't like the Metro.
amazing.
I mean, I didn't mind the Metrodome at all.
It was amazing how many rats you would encounter.
Did you cover the North Stars?
I covered. I
Football.
came here to
You did
cover
football.
Well, I did mostly Twins and Vikings, but I also covered the North Stars run to the Stanley Cup final in 1991. I remember being in a bar and looking over. There's Mike Madonna with his parents because he was so young.
I used to go to a lot of North Stars games when I was a kid.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Is that your favorite team?
That was
was
great vibe. It was just because hockey fans don't. I mean, XL Energy Center is beautiful. It's great, but hockey fans don't need that. They
Right.
loved the old
Right.
Met Center.
Yeah, the Met Center was classic.
Yeah, and Norm Green robbed us.
What do you mean?
Selling it.
Well, if Norm Green hadn't gotten offended by the reaction to his sexual harassment lawsuits, he would not
That's
have moved
it.
the team to Dallas.
That's it.
I knew.
Okay.
I came from Dallas. I knew people in Dallas, and the business people down there were like, "We're going to lure this guy down here and then take the team from him because he doesn't have enough money to support it himself." And they did. They got him down there. Within 2 years, they had the team. He was out.
A little shameless plug. Have you seen the Fox 9 documentary on that?
I haven't.
So good.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
What's the documentary?
Yeah, it's on the No Stars, and forgive, I should know the exact title, but it's really great. It's about the team moving.
Oh, I want to see that.
From the state of hockey to Dallas. Yeah, so it's a Fox 9 documentary series. Sean Skinner, one of our co-chiefs photographer, he's just so good at doing that. So it's a really good
Oh,
documentary.
I got to see that.
I went down right after they moved, and because they were really good, and they
Yeah.
won the cup like 2 or 3 years later, and it was so weird. It was just so weird to see that team in a place where you walk outside and it's 90 degrees, and I lived in Dallas. It's hot down
It's
there.
not a hockey town.
And
Just like Vegas. Vegas has a really good hockey team, and they're like, Las Vegas, not a hockey town.
But you know what? I have friends who live in Vegas.
Yeah.
It took over. I mean, it's amazing how quickly it became the biggest thing in town.
Yeah, because their football team sucks.
I have a friend of mine from Boston. When you get something and then you just don't know how your life's going to go. And then you're like, oh, I really wish I kept that. Women do that all the time, purging clothes, right?
Yeah.
This happens to be an item. But a friend of mine from back in Boston, Ken Hodge Jr., played for the North Stars for a little bit. And then came back and made the team and played for Boston because his dad was, Ken Hodge Sr. that won the Stanley Cup. And so I remember one day he said, "Do you want this shirt?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And it was like team issued pink North Stars.
Oh, that's
like
nostalgic. Do you still have
golf
it?
No, because then I went to work in Milwaukee at some point and there was this guy, and I still remember he was a photographer, Jim Crump. If you're out there and you still have the shirt, mail it back to me. But he's like, "Oh, you have one of those?" I go, "Yeah, but it's really big. It doesn't fit me. And I'm from Boston. I'm not from Minnesota. I live in Milwaukee right now." And he's like, "If you still have it, I'll take it." And I said, "Sure." And I gave it to him. And then like years later, who would think? Because then I went to Chicago for 5 years and then I got here and I'm like, oh, I really wish I had that old school North Star like golf jersey, that was kind of big, but it was awesome. I think Kenny goes, I'm not going to wear pink. And plus people are going to like tease me for wearing that here. And, no, I'm from Boston. I'm like, okay. I'm like, wow, circular moment for me.
Yeah,
I wish I still
full
had
circle.
that.
One more Boston note. When I covered the Twins, they said the worst place in baseball was to be a visiting reliever in the Fenway Park visiting bullpen. Said people would hang over the edge and just scream anything you can think of at them the entire game.
But if you're a baseball purist and say if it's like a blowout or a rainy game and people leave, you can go all the way down. Like, you know how some ballparks, they won't let you, like security won't let you go down to get a better seat. Fenway, like, no, if you're going to be a diehard and you're still here in this weather or because of this game, go right ahead. You can go down. You're behind the guys at the batter circle and like taunt them because they expect it.
They do.
There, so
yes.
It's kind of cool. You know, when we were talking, this is kind of circle back to one of your 7 rules. Is Jim has it, I have it, maybe by not necessarily on purpose, but to have longevity and to have a long planned future. When I first got here to Minnesota, I'm like, I'm 3 and out. Like football.
That's
I'm
what
3
I
and
said.
out. I had a contract, 3 and out.
No, really. 1990, I said 3 years, I'm gone.
Yeah. And then here, I never thought I would have the shelf life of a Twinkie, but here I am. They last on the shelf 30 years. Right.
We all do.
But
like
it's amazing.
Our relationship with time has changed, right?
How so?
Well, we don't want to wait 3 seconds for a video to load.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
want to tap to pay and get out of the store. We want to download the whole season right now. But because of our health and longevity
My
and
wife's
AI,
ears are burning right now.
Oh, yeah.
She can't
She's like,
stand it when she can't watch the whole series right now.
right now, we want to do things now. But we're spoiled. We have access to information at our fingertips whenever we want. And guess what? It's for free. We have access to the internet for free, podcasts for free, any YouTube how-to in the world for free. That's unprecedented.
It is.
And because of that, we'll live longer because we'll know things, because we're learning from other cultures. We're learning from doctors. We're learning about health. We're learning about movement. We're learning about cold plunges and saunas and what food's good for us and inflammation and sleep and all the things. So we're going to live longer. And so we have to know things because we have to evolve. So we will not be retiring at 55 anymore. That is out the window. That's when you start your second career because now you have experience and you know things and you know yourself and you start thinking about, now I want to do things that I'm passionate about, that I really care about. I put in a whole lifetime of a career doing things that served me well, opened my home, brought me a family, fed my kids, put them to school. But now I want to do something with purpose. Now I want to do something that fills my cup and my soul. And now I want to spend my time doing things that I want to do, not what a certain manager asked me to do, because I had to build a career, to build a family, to build a home, to build a life.
I think that's part of the book at the end there that really inspired me the most, because I've read books in the past, like Halftime. I'm like, oh, does it mean like I'm at halftime of my life? Oh, great. But that book was about the second half of your life can be more altruistic and for others. But I'm like, well, as much as we all like to think that, like sometimes for me, and your book kind of solidified it, you do so much because you have to. Like you have, well, or you should.
You have to get a family. You have to put your kids
right.
through school. You have to do things because that's life. You have to put food on the table and pay the bills.
And then I don't want to be like, okay, now it's just a cruise downhill till I die. Like that's what all those books are. I'm like, no. What if I want to do something else? And I always lie about my age, and everybody knows that. I say I'm always 28. And people are like, you're not going to always be 28 when you start a new career. And I'm like, it's not about the age. It's about what I have left to do or give, so that I don't say, I wish I did that.
Yeah,
and that
woulda, shoulda, coulda. Not having regrets. It's one of the rules of the book is don't have regrets. If you wanted to, you do something, but you're not doing it because you're worried about people saying, who does she think she is?
Yes.
Or people judging you. That's a terrible way to live your life.
Yeah.
Because nobody's in your shoes. Nobody has your life. Nobody has your journey. Nobody has your problems. Nobody has your bills to pay. You do. And so you need to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm going to do the things that I choose to do because I want to go to bed at night knowing that I am authentic to myself. And that matters. It really does. I think like we all see what's happening. Social media is allowing us to compare and makes us feel inadequate if we're not doing this. Then who gives? Like you should just turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were doing just fine before it. We'll do just fine after it.
Yeah. And I love just saying like the 80-year-olds, like I started my business when I was 70 and it was a totally different business than what I did before. And just
because we will. And that's going to be normal. Because you can.
Yeah. So while you were talking earlier, when we're talking sports, my wheels, and Jim knows this, always go, how did loving sports, playing sports, being around sports, or cheering for, I'm not sure if it's,
I'm a Wolves fan.
okay.
Okay.
How did that help you in business?
Yeah, it's actually a great question. No one's asked me that before. I don't know. My nephew, Zane's 25.
Mm-hmm.
He, always played. He was a basketball player. He was always on the varsity team. He was a football player. So we went to, and he was baseball. Like we went to a lot of his sporting events. Kenzie played volleyball. So like I got the bug, in sports from my being around my niece and nephew. And then I started to really get into it because I used to be a news junkie and just watch news all the time. And that just became emotionally draining and depressing. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I need to put my passions into something else. I like going to sports events. I enjoy spending money on sports events versus other things. Like if I want to get tickets to a game, I'd rather do that than, spend it on a lavish dinner or some shopping experience. I'd really like to go to sports events. And so I started learning a lot about sports, and I started watching a lot of sports and learning about statistics and the players and the data. And there's a lot of interesting things that goes into a sports event. And it's not just what we see on the court or on the field. There's so much more. It's about the stories of the athletes, stories of the players, the data, the statistics. How do they build their brands? How do they do their communications? How do they do their marketing? How do they engage with the community? It's so much about what I do in communications.
Yes.
And it was like, it became a parallel way for me to think about my business as like, what can I do to, like, athletes now like to be direct to consumer. They want to have their own podcasts. They want to be their own media companies. They want to control their own narratives. And so we can learn a lot about what athletes are doing to build their own brands. And I work in that business of how CEOs and founders or female entrepreneurs build their personal brands so they can acquire talent or get investors or the right strategic partners. But I think it's so important. Sports is like business. Even with my team, I see myself more as a coach than a manager. I try to give them the playbook and let them go execute. I want them to learn how to design the plays and how to execute without having me oversee everything, right? So how can you teach your team to take the ball and run with it and have more confidence that they can do more without me? And so I give them the playbook, but then I let them implement it in the way that they're able to execute. So much about what I am obsessed with in sports is very parallel to what's happening in business. Storytelling, data, communications, connecting with your community, engaging with your fans. That's what I do. I connect with audiences. I engage with communities. I build stories for people. And so I love it. I love it. I made actually a list. My sister was like, this year for Thanksgiving, there's so many people have a bucket list of things you want to do before you die. And so my sister's like, let's call it the live it list. And I'll have two sides. One side is like, what are all the things that we've done that we're grateful for? Like the experiences we've had, places we've gone, things we've done. And what are the things that we still want to do? And so she asked everyone to come with their lists. And all of my things of what I wanted to do were all related to sports. I'm like, I really want to go to the Masters. I've never been to the Masters. I know it's impossible to get in.
Go.
Yeah, that's like I've been to like the Super Bowl. I've been
Masters
to like
is better than the Super Bowl.
I've been to the World Series. Like I've gone to the finals of. I've been to like the U.S. Open. I've been to like French Open. I've done all these things, but I'm like, I need to go to the Masters. I really want to see that experience. And then my nephew was like, "But Auntie Maha, you can't have your phone." I'm like, "I'll be fine."
It's great not being able to take your phone on the course. It's fantastic.
It's liberating, right?
It's so nice.
And nobody has a phone.
Nobody can bother you, and nobody else has a phone, so nobody else is annoying you, and everybody's just actually paying attention, because it drives me crazy when there's this great shot. And if it was it might have been from Jerry Holt or Carlos Gonzalez, one of our great photographers. Opening day, Target Field, first game, and there's this flyover, and we did a one of those fishbowl surround,
shots, and everyone's holding up their phone.
And everybody's looking at their phone. There are jets flying over. It's a beautiful day, beautiful green field, baseball, outdoors, and everybody's looking at their phone.
Yeah, so I think Masters was on my list.
It's fantastic.
French Open's on mine.
That'd be a good one.
It's nice. French Open is fun. I haven't done Wimbledon. I've been to the arena for the Olympics. They did tennis there, but I've never actually attended.
Same as me. I was
Wimbledon.
there for the Olympics, but I haven't been to actual Wimbledon.
Yeah, because it happens on 4th of July weekend. So who wants to leave Minnesota on the 4th of July? Nobody.
Nobody. I also want to go to the Kentucky Derby.
Ooh, I might go this year.
I've been to Churchill Downs. I haven't been to the Derby.
I might go this year
hat.
in May. In May this
I
year.
don't care if it's
Wear the hat,
terrible. I want a
and
mint
with
julep.
the straw so you can drink the mint julep that's on your hat. I mean, you cannot go
Ooh.
outrageous enough for Kentucky
Yeah,
people
see?
during the Derby.
But it's always literally it's the weekend right when your head is spinning coming out of March Madness, and then April comes and there's draft stuff
Yeah,
you're doing,
Final Four.
and then you're
That's
like,
always the best.
oh, it's already May 5th. What? Missed another year.
Yeah.
But you have to be intentional about it.
Yeah,
So.
definitely.
You know, that's what my friends and I call it. We call it the live list because
Yeah,
the
the live
bucket
list.
list
Yeah,
is too much
that's
of
what
a
my sister
bummer.
calls
for
it.
me.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, Well, Maha, I am inspired, and I'm going to. I always go through like a book, and then I have my highlights, but then I always go back and I do write notes in.
Good.
So I've already scribbled some, but you know, like I really wanted to talk to you about some things because when I was telling my friend about your book, this is probably about last month or so, she goes, what does it mean to be self-reliant, though, in terms of building a career? Like, I'm self-reliant in terms of, I live on my own and I bought my house. And she goes, well, what's it for you? And I said, oh, that's an awesome question. I go, I guess self-reliant for me is I listen to what people say, but ultimately I do what I think is best. But I don't know if that's the right answer.
Yeah, self-reliance is not about being independent or like you doing it better for yourself is better than anyone else. Like that's not what the book is about at all.
Right.
If you read the book, you'll discover that. It's about investing in yourself and finding the tools that you need so that you can be valuable to yourself and to others. I can rely on myself to build my own relationships instead of me saying, hey, Dawn, you know, your relationships and the network that you've built up through your business, I need that. Can you hand it over to me? Mm-hmm. I want to have my own relationships. I want to have my own network. And how do you build it? And how do you get one? And how do you manage one? That's what self-reliance is. Like, I need to know how to do these skills, how to build a relationship, how to build my reputation, how to create value for other people, how to not be waiting for someone to bring me opportunities. I actually can create them myself if I get 1, 2, 3. And then how do you reverse engineer to get those 3 things, whatever it is. Yeah. So I want to tell people, you don't need to wait for someone to bring things to you on a platter. You need to know how to invest in yourself and own it yourself, and then extend your hand out for help. I'm self-reliant, but I have a lot of people that have to help me.
Right.
I always ask for help when it comes to finances and numbers and things I'm not good at. I always ask for help when I don't have a connection or a lead or I don't understand something. I know I have a high level of self-awareness of these are the things I'm good at, but these are the things I need someone else who's good at to help me with. Mm-hmm. And I want people to not just be waiting around. Like, I think a younger generation struggles with how to make decisions because they just have access to everything on the internet that they think they can just unfriend and friend somebody with the push of a button. No, a friendship is a relationship. It's time. It's checking in. It's showing up. It's nurturing. And I feel like I just want to get people back to the basics of like, you can rely on yourself. You can do things. You don't need everyone to bring you things on a platter. And how do you do that? And you have to learn these really important skills that I think will carry you through the future.
And I keep going back to the add value because so many people, and it's not just young, sometimes it's older, what can I get?
What's in it for me? Everyone's in a transaction. What's in it for me? I'll do this for you, but what's in it for me? And right. I do spend a good chapter of the book, chapter 6, talking about being a long-term player. Like, what does it take to be a long-term player? How do you play that game of not instant gratification, not I'm going to do this for you because I want something in return? What if you put deposits in other people's trust banks because that's the right thing to do and it'll give you the benefits you're looking for. Don't just be short term. How do you play long term and how to do it and who to do it for? I kind of talk about that a lot in the book.
Well, I'm going to wrap this up with one thing. Jim and I have talked sometimes about our great stories of famous people, but you're actually super good friends now with Gayle King, super jealous. She just bought her assistant a dog. Talk about adding value and just paying attention to the people that you work with. Like, this is what this girl wanted. How, I know that you became friends like after a while.
2008, I met Gayle King.
How cool is that?
2008. We're in 2024.
Wow.
Yeah, I met her at the
Talk
DNC.
About the long game.
At the DNC. I volunteered to go work the DNC in Denver in 2008 in January, and we were at the CNN Grill, and she walked in with Oprah and Maria Shriver, and I was having French fries, and she walked by, and I said hello to her, and we talked over French fries.
Wow.
Yeah, I told her I was from Egypt, and she was like, that stopped her in her tracks. I mean, not too many people you find sitting in a cafe in Egypt from Egypt. So you got to have a good conversation starter, and I started with that.
But you got to keep your foot in the door.
Yeah,
and you got
have
to
to
add value.
yeah.
How did you add value to Gail to now that, because you were on her show? Well, congratulations.
Yeah, I
This
did
whole
a
book
ton of
tour had
press.
been
Yeah,
amazing.
so I did a ton of press, including I was on CBS Morning News. It was funny because I've done a ton of things in Minnesota as well, and I feel like, when you're ready to tell a story and you have a story worth telling, and the time is right. And so, I mean, I wrote this book out of my heart and something that was from a lot of my personal experiences. This isn't a how-to book on, things that might work for you. This is tested 30 years of grit and experience in the book. I think for Gail, it's just a matter of always thinking about, I kept on running into her at different events and parties and stuff like that. And so when I kept on seeing her at different events, I finally was like, I got to go talk to her, because if I'm in the same room as she is, then we might have something in common. And so what can I do to kind of build a bridge with her in a relationship? And I did something that I teach in the book, like, don't go in for the ask, like just show up. You're valuable to her. Ask what she cares about. Try to deliver against that, build a relationship that's not based on a transaction, and they'll win. And that's, I never asked to be on her show. In fact, when I got on CBS News, I didn't go through her door because I didn't believe that's the right way to do it. You need to go through the front door of any news organization and send them a copy of your book. And if they like it, and they'll write you, invite you on. And had a call with the producer, and I told him my story, and he liked it. And then I had sent a copy of the book to Gail, and I kept on prodding her. Did you read it? Did you read it? She couldn't find it. Then she finally found it. And then she read it. And then she's like, we need to have you on. And then I said, I'm already booked. I'm coming on already.
Oh, how great
so
is that?
it was a nice, that I didn't have to, she's like, we should have you on the show. I'm like, I'm glad you feel that way, because the producer already booked me.
Yes.
She's like, when are you coming on? I said October 9th. So that was great.
Oh, that's a perfect way to end this.
Yes, I'm so grateful to be here. I mean,
so
I'm a
happy
huge
you
fan of
came
you
on.
and your work and what you do. And I just want to follow you around when you go to all these sports events and be your assistant, just kind of trailblazing through the sports world. Actually, I want that to be my next career.
Well, great, because then when it's my next career and I want to start doing some communications, I'm like, Maha,
Yes, we
help
should.
me start my business.
Let's trade stories. I would love that. Thank you
Awesome.
for having me. Thank you, Jen.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.